Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to more War Thunder. It's currently the winter festive event. You have a chance to grind for 6 premium vehicles, so that is pretty awesome to get your hands on for free, especially considering the T-30 American heavy tank is a derpy boy with a premium name tag at rank 4, quite nice. And the aircraft, the Focke-Wulf prototype, is also a rank 4 premium, so very nice. Also on offer is the Iron Duke for community events and 9 decorations, as well as the aircraft was the American P-43, which is an interesting little aircraft. I really love it. It's like a baby P-47 or a fat P-40, just depending upon your definition. It's certainly a mix of the two when it comes to how it flies, and I greatly enjoyed it. But current events, you can see me playing some Italian vehicles right now because I recently purchased the Italian pack, which is on sale for 50% off as of the posting of this video. Great deal with the G55S, one of the most enjoyable aircraft in the entire game. Great grinder, one of the best fighters at its battle rating, and all in all just a smooth beauty in the air with some very, very deadly firepower. Also in that pack is the T26 or the M26, Italian Pershing, and it's a solid tank. Good premium. As far as medium tanks go, it feels a lot like the T-34-85 with perhaps a bit more armor and a bit less mobility, which is a decent trade-off. All in all, I suspect that the Soviet 85mm cannon is a bit better than the American 90 that's on the M26, but if you do manage to get a shot through, that APHE that the M26 has will totally annihilate everything. As for the last vehicle in the pack, the P-40 Leoncello really feels like an early T-34, except of course you'll be firing more heat than APHE, which would be something of a detriment in most situations, although heat has significantly improved in its performance since the past few patches. Now, as for what's going on currently, we're being an idiot. So my goal was to capture zones, and this vehicle I'm in, it sits at a 3.3 battle rating in realistic battles right now, which is just absolutely ridiculous. It's a 20mm high fire rate auto cannon that's completely belt fed, has a stabilizer, and basically can just shred aircraft, and at battle rating 3.3 with around 40mm of penetration for its AP, it can shred ground vehicles too. Kind of ridiculous. Gaijin, I really feel like this deserves to be a rank 3 battle rating 4.7 at the least, especially considering its date of manufacture. I could see this as a 5.0, 5.3. It really is an odd duck no matter where you put it, but it definitely doesn't belong in the 3.3 meta. But I said we were being an idiot, and well, that's because this is a rank 2 vehicle. Our goal is to capture zones for the festive event, which only counts if you're using a rank 3 vehicle or higher. So we're wasting our time here, but we are doing it gloriously. If you're looking for a vehicle to capture zones, this speedy little boy, like many of the Italian light armored cars, is very, very effective at repositioning on anything but the most difficult of terrain. Speaking of, I'm actually not able to pull forward on these stairs, so that is a downside. And nonetheless, we've captured 2 zones within a couple of minutes of the match starting, and now we're capturing a third right under the nose of the enemy team. I gotta say, That's kind of satisfying, no matter how you slice it. And obviously, with nothing other than a rapid-fire 20mm cannon that almost pushes us over, by the way, I feel like that's kind of ridiculous. Would this vehicle actually be knocked around on its suspension by its gun? How could that even enter production if it was really that unstable? I find that a little bit difficult to believe. But it is a new vehicle, and as with most new vehicles, the specific workings of the vehicle, how it moves and behaves or wobbles on its loose suspension, could change at any moment. It really looks like something out of, have you ever played the Mech Warrior games, where you can just step on those little armored cars, or if you feel like it, shoot them with your guns, and they're just total fish food for you? That's how I kind of feel about this little thing. It deserves to be fish food. It deserves to only be useful as I die. Only useful for capturing points. And by the way, they were spawn camping us a bit here in this arcade match, but it's easy as 1, 2, 3, and we've taken down the people who are camping our spawn. Was this arcade or RB? Oh, it must have been RB. We ended in an airplane. My apologies. So we did switch over to playing arcade at some point during the day. It is a whole lot easier to run a short lineup. All I really have is the M26 and that little pizza delivery boy. So, what? What was that? Was that an M5A1? So yeah, this is later in a match, and people are already bringing out their second and third string vehicles, as you can see. To have an M26 come up against a 75 Sherman, well, it's pretty easy to get the victory at that point. And M26 really sits at an interesting spot. It has a ton of armor and firepower for a medium tank in, say, a 5-7 match, but not so much by any means at a 6-7. What you really end up relying on is the good depression of the gun, the reasonable turret armor, and that deadly post-penetration effect as we just miss the M16 motor gun carriage of the 90mm APHE round. And when you do learn to make this vehicle work for you, it can really do some wonderful things. It's definitely not the pinnacle of the meta, but it's really more of a Mario. It's a balanced vehicle, and as a grinder for the mid to early high tier Italian vehicles, it performs quite well, in my humble opinion. However, the reason I'm showing you this match is we've already picked up a few kills, and who's this now? I have yet to find a decent challenge as we take down a poor M24 just outside of the enemy spawn. That's really the only place we can find enemy vehicles at this point as we go around and finish off the M16. We're kind of hoping to get 6 kills in this match, which will give us part of our achievement for the day, and it really looks like that's going to be possible. We saw the silhouette of an enemy vehicle, and now it's suddenly gone. Did he die? Did he leave the match? Who's to say? But he's definitely not available for us to kill at this time. If that was an M18, which, by the way, being that they're at a 5-3, you will face M18s on a fairly regular basis in the M26 Ariete, and there's not much an M18 can do against you with its armament unless they get the flank on you. So once again, the best thing to do when you're playing an M26 is to keep your eyes moving around and be aware of enemy positions. If you're in a good hold down position, if your tank is concealed behind cover and you're able to look around and choose when to engage, you should be able to do fairly well with this vehicle. Definitely don't want to face off against people who can rock you from the front, and it's better if you choose to engage when they're already looking in a different direction or if they've fired their main gun. Now there he is at M18. We get a good critical hit on him, takes down most of the crew, open up with the machine guns, taking down the commander who still hadn't swapped position to finish off the vehicle. Very nice. Alrighty, who's next? Somebody looks like they want some. We've been fired upon. It was that an Avenger? Well, he will need to be avenged by someone now. One of those early British box tanks with, was that the 17 pounder or even something smaller? Either way, it has some difficulty going through. That could have been a Comet now that I think about it. It does have some difficulty going through the frontal armor of the M26, especially if you have a bit of an angle. Your side armor is decent, but definitely not reliable. But getting a little bit of angle to that front plate gives you a lot more survivability against many of the rounds you'll face. And did we just get penetrated by a Churchill Mark 7? Now that we've identified the enemy, this is a serious down tier, is it not? Again, once people start bringing out their second and third lineup of vehicles, things get significantly easier for the M26. And we honestly should be able to take this guy down, but we're a bit distracted having our cannon taken out. And another thing that I'd like to point out to you is we're just peppering this guy every couple of seconds with the MG. That gives us SP and Silver Lions, so why not? If you can harvest just a little bit of SP by derping around with your machine gun, picking up hits, then it's just bonus nachos. And as you see, that round turned out quite well for us. That's not the festive quest medal that we were hoping for, but we got our daily task out of the way. Not that we're really going for those either right now, but that'll be some more universal backups for us to use on the M26 until we get more of a lineup going. We swap over to arcade because we want to pick up some assists, and this is the last battle in arcade of the night. It ended up being a lot of fun, and you may have noticed that I've done something a little bit different with the audio for this video, and that's because I've gone back to recording live footage, which you've no doubt noticed. But all of today I was relaxing with some Game Grumps in the background and some other things. I think we had bow time going and listened to the European Canadian giving us the rundown on the Christmas sales, and it's all information I already looked up for myself, but I don't know, I like to get different people's perspectives as much as I can when it comes to which vehicles do well in the game. And it's interesting to see the different play styles and people's favorite lineups and how those affect the vehicles that they would purchase for themselves. As for me, I just have sale-itis. As soon as something goes on sale, I go nuts for it. Now you may recognize, if you're keen on your rare vehicles, this is the event vehicle, the British 4.0 Excelsior, and it's basically a Cromwell with 114 or so millimeters of armor on the front and some decent spaced side armor. So a very interesting vehicle, a bit slower than the medium tank that it seeks to replace, but as a heavy, it's quite mobile, especially in arcade. And again, arcade is the best place to harvest assists, and that's what we're going for now, and that's the reason that I'm showing you this video footage. It ended up being a very interesting match. I ended up getting a few more kills than I wanted to, just out of necessity. It's hard to harvest assists if you're dead after all. So we open up by getting into an aggressive forward position after capping the point. A couple of good critical hits on enemy vehicles, which means that we will eventually pick up an assist if those vehicles die. Even a third critical hit, and the armor stands up very well against these 3.0, 3.3, even 3.7 Italian ground vehicles are gonna have a very difficult time punching through the very flat but rather thick frontal armor of the Excelsior. Now it is time to start killing these vehicles that we've wounded because our teammates are not here to back us up. Oh, although one gets taken down. Kill assist, I'll take it. And with a busted turret ring, we fire on the move. Welcome to arcade, boys. May this mechanic never come to RB. And take down the Leoncello. All in all, not a bad first few minutes of the match, and you can see why grinding is much faster in arcade. You can play very aggressively. You can harvest kills, assists, base caps, all of which will give you progress toward your event. The downside is, of course, you're not grinding out the air event while you're in those tank arcade matches, but I just wanted to finish off my ground event and then work on the air event maybe overnight or in the next coming day. Things are finally starting to slow down a bit after the Christmas holidays. We had the family get together at my house, and then we went down the road a bit over the river and through the woods, as it were, to my uncle's house to spend some time on Christmas Day with the rest of the family. So it was very busy, and having a baby and then going cross state to drop off people back to their homes because I was their lift, well, it takes a lot out of the old Toshio. So it's good to be back with you guys and relaxing on the floor in front of the couch, as is my usual nature. It's hard to get an assist on an M22. There's just not enough meat to it when you're using that British AP, but a nice shot into that spaghetti mark whatever. It is going to take me a while to learn the names of the Italian vehicles, especially since there's a lot of letters and numbers and not a whole lot of words, if you know what I'm saying. But we'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure. The most important thing, of course, being a barrel diameter, because some of those Italian vehicles have a nasty bite, and others, if you're in a decent heavy tank, are not so scary at all. Whether you're getting into the Italian vehicles yourself or sitting back from the sidelines and just seeing how to kill them, I'm definitely happy about how, for the most part, Italian vehicles have been introduced. Other trees like the Japanese or even the British really didn't have a lot going for them in certain battle rating spreads, and that's definitely the case to a small extent with the Italians, but overall they have quite a number of vehicles and quite a number of distinct vehicles available to them, so that is a big old pat on the back to Gaijin for that one. I haven't mentioned that when you're grinding out assists or even kills, honestly, in tank arcade, it definitely helps to learn air vehicles and fly out in fighters, bombers, and attackers. I'm actually a big fan of flying out in a fighter. You can often pick up a fighter kill, taking down an enemy interceptor, and you can almost always find an open top vehicle to strafe with your guns, especially at the 3 to 5 battle rating that you see us playing in today. 4.0 British is really good at harvesting assists. You have the the M10 with the 17 pounder, which is very, very good at punching through enemy armor and sometimes leaves survivors in the enemy vehicle, so you can pick up an assist off of that. The smaller what are they, like 12 pounder guns are very good at wiping out individual crew members and decent at punching through armor. And as I mentioned, the Excelsior is something of a rare vehicle because it was an event tank from years past, one that I'm very glad I spent the time to grind out, worth all the cost of the marriage counseling. And the match is starting to wind down. Congratulations all around. Let's see if we can get one more kill real quick before we pull on out of here. We managed to avoid getting taken down by that Zero in a head-on. Spawning in to aircraft, can we get an assist there? Get a nice critical hit real quick, carefully. There we are. And aircraft destroyed. nice bit of points for us. Good amount of assists we were able to harvest in that battle. If it had gone on just a bit longer, we could have picked up 1 or 2 more. But I feel that this video was a good demonstration at this point on how to harvest assists. There we go, another critical hit into an enemy vehicle, which will again, as soon as he dies, give us the assist, although it's going to be too late with this one. Match over. So that's how we got our tanker medal for the day, and all in all, I've had a good time talking with you guys. Look forward to getting back into the swing of things. And be sure to grind out this event if you can. Even if you haven't started yet, you still have time to go for the lower rank vehicles. And if you pay some money into, you can catch up to where everyone else is. And it's going to be a good one. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.